Joining me now, Virginia Governor and Republican Governors Association Chair Bob McDonnell, who of course was there as the host governor in Virginia. Thanks so much, Governor. Good to see you today.
Thanks, Andrea.
Let's talk about that. What do you say to Governor Bentley and some of the others, Scott Walker, who think that, first of all, Mitt Romney has to be more aggressive in going on the attack against the Obama attacks, and also to just release these tax returns so that he can get back to his campaign message?
Well, Andrea, I think that decision is up to Mitt Romney. He's released 500 pages more than what the norm might be. I tell you, here's the big point, though. Americans aren't concerned about Mitt Romney's tax returns. They're concerned about their tax returns and the new taxes that Obama is putting on the American people. Nearly every small business in America, all 900,000 of them, with his new proposal, 21 new taxes totaling $500 billion in Medicaid. And they're not concerned that much about Bain. That's a job that he had 12 years ago. They're concerned about their own jobs, Andrea, today. 8.1% now for the last 41 months. Unacceptable. No leadership. And we're falling behind India and China in our growth rate. That's what people are concerned about. So, you know, here's the thing. The bigger the issues get facing the country, the smaller the president gets in his campaign message. It's wrong. He had to pull these silly ads off the air and start talking about jobs and taxes and energy, because that's what Mitt Romney's talking about, and that's what people are going to vote on in Virginia.
Governor, with all due respect, getting back to the issue of whether or not he should release his tax returns, he may have more pages in his tax return that he did release because he has a more complicated tax return, but he's released less than the norm. The norm is to release more, and in fact, John McCain did 2 tax returns, 2 years. The gold standard was George Romney back in 1968, who said that he was releasing 12 because anything less than that could be a fluke. So why get caught up in this whole issue and not just release it? Is it because he's concerned about some hits that he might take because, as a lot of wealthy people do, he has tax shelters and perhaps some years didn't pay as much as other people pay percentage-wise?
Andrea, listen, I tell you, we know a couple things about Mitt Romney. He's been very successful. He's made a lot of money. We also know from the returns that he released that he's paid all the taxes that were due, and he gave about 15% of his income to charity, that he's a generous guy. But people are concerned about the future of America. Our country's in trouble. We got 25 million people unemployed or underemployed. We got huge, because we're not going to respond to every single new challenge that comes out of the Obama campaign. I mean, that's not the way you run these campaigns.
I mean,
well, look, it's up to Mitt Romney what he wants to do. But that's not the issue in the race. It's about how do we get the greatest country on earth out of debt, back to work, a good energy plan, and have stronger leadership on the national stage. That's what people are going to vote on. This president's, I think, undermining the decency and the dignity of the electoral process, focusing on a 12-year-old job and old tax returns. That's not what, that may be what Obama thinks important, but that's not what voters of Virginia think important. I lived for 18 years where President Obama just was this last weekend in Virginia Beach and in Henrico County. They're not asking me about that. They're saying, how do we get back to work? How do we create energy independence? And how do we get out of debt? This president's racked up debt, $5.2 trillion in new debt. That's what's important. This president's got no leadership when it comes to getting us out of debt, to fixing sequestration. It's more excuses and more hide the ball. And listen, I understand it. If I had a lousy record of unemployment over 8% for that long, and I'd racked up $5 trillion in debt, I'd be trying to hide the ball and trying to get somebody to talk about something else too. That's not what's important. That's not what the independent voters are going to vote on, Andrea.
Governor, let's talk about the vice presidency and whether or not Mitt Romney has, in fact, even decided. Do you have the sense that he's decided? Has he communicated to you that you are either on or not on the ticket?
Andrea, I know we've had these conversations before. That's completely up to Mitt Romney.
But
I'm
the next
done
time,
talking
if I don't
about
ask
it.
You the question, it could be the one time where you would, just sort of spill your guts, Governor.
You're doing a great job. There's only one list that matters. It's Mitt Romney. I can tell you what I'm working on is getting Mitt Romney a victory in Virginia and winning about 12 governor's races as chairman of the RGA. That's my goal.
Well, you were around all of the governors this weekend, and you talked to everybody down there in Virginia. Would you rather see an announcement sooner than later? There's one school of thought that he should announce sooner. It'll, first of all, change the topic. We'll all be talking about the vice presidency and see the running mates and the rollout of the running mates. And maybe a good idea to do this before he goes out of the country and goes to the London Olympics. What do you think?
Well, he's doing more than going to the Olympics. He's also meeting with leaders of the free world, like David Cameron, and then he's going to Israel to meet with Benjamin Netanyahu to make sure that our strategic partners that frankly get disappointed from time about where the United States is, that we shore up those relationships. So it's certainly more than that. Listen, that's completely up to the Mitt Romney. People don't vote on vice president. They vote on the leadership of the president and what they're going to do on jobs and taxes and spending in these other areas. So that's completely up to him. It's going to be decided on these serious issues. This is a time for competent and confident leadership and not the finger pointing and the blame game that we've got out of this president. That's what's going to matter, not who's vice president.
Thank you very much, Governor McDonnell.
Okay.